Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another video here. I'm Richard at Calvin Wazoo. And as the video title suggests, recount a little journey in psychedelia that I recently took while listening to records. Also, I want to say thank you to many of the new subscribers. There seems to be two groups of people who are subscribing to the channel. There are the people who I am presuming are really enjoying the Frank Zappa videos, the series Frank Zappa, one album at a time. Appreciate all of you joining. I'm also noting that I'm getting a lot of younger subscribers who have been enjoying my reviews of records by Car Seat Headrest. So welcome to all of you as well. I hope that both groups do not become too niche in their interests and maybe take an opportunity to look at other videos that I have created about other artists. And especially with the younger group, to maybe check out some of the artists with greater depth that I'm going to mention here in this video. So again, thank you to all of you. I hope you continue to enjoy what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying the comments as well. So yes, recently I've got these other expenses that have come up. I need new glasses. I've had some issues with a foot, so dealing with a podiatrist and expenses there. So record buying has been put on hold. I do have some pre-orders, a couple pre-orders that just haven't arrived yet. But yeah, they were ordered and paid for months ago. But in general, I'm not buying new stuff because my money is being really focused on these medical issues that I'm dealing with. Although good news, I got my second vaccine the other day, so yay! And I hope all of you are seriously considering, getting a vaccine as well. I understand that there are people who have legitimate reluctance about that. I get that. But more importantly, as Rachel Maddow recently said on one of her shows, getting the vaccine really isn't for you, as in me getting the vaccine isn't really for me. It is for everyone else, to protect other people more than just to protect me. So enough on that, but I am really happy that I finally got my second dose, I should say. So yeah, I was listening to, this all began in the evening while I was listening to this, Revolver, Beatles' Revolver. 1966 was when this was released, and I was thinking to myself, well, one, this is perhaps my favorite Beatles release, and I was thinking on just how musically innovative it was, and the recording engineering and the different sounds that they were experimenting with in the production of this album. It's just really, really fantastic and really interesting and unique songs. I mean, this is Rubber Soul kind of began that that move where they were, venturing down another path. But this is where I think they really, really experimented both with more so with musical styles, and also sound, in trying new sounds. That got me thinking of, okay, what other releases of about that era that were experimental or ventured out or tried or were expressing new ways in terms of popular songwriting. So I tried to, as I was lining up the records that I was going to play, I was kind of focusing on that aspect. And also that pretty much that era. So I kind of focused pretty much on releases that happened in 1966, 1967, and 1968. I kind of drew the line there because I didn't want to go into 1969 because, well, a lot of other things started happening in music in 1969 that were, yes, new directions, new horizons, but I wanted to kind of stick with the psychedelic experimentation that was going on. And also I didn't want to include time periods, that are more noted for the presence of bands like Led Zeppelin and, other bands. So listening to Revolver, I began thinking, okay, yeah, the next thing I want to listen to is Pink Floyd, at the Pipers at the Gates of Dawn. Released in 1967. Interestingly, they were recording this in Abbey Road Studios at the same time the Beatles were recording Sgt. Pepper's. This album is really incredible in terms of what Pink Floyd was bringing to the music scene. And also, something that's special to me about it is Syd Barrett's influence in the pop songs. He was an incredible pop songwriter. When you think of songs like The Gnome or Bike, and even Matilda Mother. And then there were, other singles that were his songs and that they released, such as, See Emily Play. When I think about Pink Floyd, and after Syd was ousted from the group, I'm struggling to think of another pop song that they ever did. I mean, they certainly put together incredible albums, and they certainly had some songs that were released as singles and got radio play, but a pure pop song post Syd Barrett, I can't think of a single one, and that's what he really brought to the band. And while Pink Floyd went on to achieve, great heights in terms of influence on rock music and popularity and just, recognition. After Syd was gone, what pop songs did they do? So that was kind of the reason why I went to that record next. And then after that, I think, okay, the next thing I must listen to, and I started having some other titles turn up in my mind, but the next one in order after Pink Floyd, I decided to go with Tyrannosaurus Rex. Because again, of the innovation and sound that this release here presented. It was the first release. My people were fair and had sky in their hair, but now they're content to wear stars on their brows. Definitely very psychedelic. But what's interesting is that you just got Mark Bolan playing acoustic guitar, and then and then the other fellow's name is escaping me now, playing bongos. And that was what they were doing. It was just acoustic guitar and bongos, and then these amazing songs that were filled with really interesting stories and Of course, they eventually, went electric. This is a reissue, a double release. So it has the original single album, and then there's another album, that was included that provided, some different mixes, etc. But now, oh man, now I brought up there's Mark Bolan, but what the heck is the other guy's name? Yeah, Steve Peregrine Took. The Hobbit, right? Yeah, playing bongos, Chinese gong, assorted percussion, and a pixie phone. It's just really, really incredible songs. I mean, you get an early version of Deborah, which actually is on the second record and was not part of the original release, I guess. But you've got songs like Hot Rod Mama, Dwarfish Trumpet Blues. Just really wonderful, wonderful stuff. And again, very innovative in terms of the music and the sound, with just the acoustic guitar and the congas or bongos. It wasn't until, when they went electric, when Mark Bolan decided to go electric, then the name was shortened to T-Rex as opposed to Tyrannosaurus Rex. Well, then listening to that recording sent me, I had to go here with Donovan. All right, this is Sunshine Superman, we're going back to 1966, okay? The Tyrannosaurus Rex release was 1968. So we're going backwards to 1966 with Donovan. So this was released at the same time, roughly the same time as Revolver. This is a reissue. And of course, the two big hits on here, Sunshine Superman and Season of the Witch. But Guinevere, it kind of reminds me again of the pop song writing, that we would get from Syd Barrett. Of course, the Syd Barrett songs, came after this, so we could say that, Donovan was part of that influence on Syd Barrett. But again, we're talking about somebody who was expanding. I'm probably stretching my theme a little bit here, but he was, experimenting with a format in terms of the folk style and bringing that psychedelic element to it. And also the song structures, I think, in some ways we could say that he was pushing the boundaries a little bit in terms of the structure and the storytelling element with the songs. But again, just really, really amazing pop songs beyond the two hits that were there. So now, I've been talking mostly about British bands. And so I'm coming across the pond and we're talking 1967. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go here with the Jefferson Airplane after bathing at Baxter's. In, Surrealistic Pillow and what is the other one? Dawn of Creation or something like that. They're the two records that tend to get the most comment, most recognition. But this is really an amazing record. And we've got, two different suites that are on like side two. We've got the How Sweet It Is, and then the Schizo Forest Love Suite, that take up side two. And the band is really getting, I think there's a little more influence. I mean, they were always psychedelic, but I kind of feel like, and also have, if you notice, it's a gatefold, but instead of the gatefold opening here, it's opening here because we're looking at how it's creating this image this way. So actually, this is the front, but in some respects it looks like the back, whereas this looks like the front. Although on a traditional gatefold it would be the back. And then the inside, everything is done vertically as opposed to horizontally or landscape. So yeah, that's where I went next in terms of the psychedelic theme. And we're talking about Jefferson Airplane, a San Francisco band. And, but I'm still thinking in terms of innovative sounds being the, primary guide here. So the next place I went was with a Frank Zappa release, We're Only in It for the Money, which was released in 1968. And what is really amazing here is, well, Zappa was already experimenting with taking voices and instrumentation and then increasing the speed, after recording them so that he could get, something to come out in a higher octave and also to not necessarily distort, but change the way voices would sound. And then he was also, again, while he was doing this in earlier releases, but he was experimenting more with the concept of musique concrète, which is taking the sounds of non-musical items, and recording them and using them in a musical sense. So there's a lot of this going on with this recording. And in spite of, of course, the obvious allusion here to the Sgt. Pepper's album, nonetheless, there was his innovation of sound, so to speak. And then my evening finished with, I could not listen to this. And this was released in 1967, and that's, Are You Experienced? The Jimi Hendrix Experience. And it's a reissue. But yeah, the sounds that he was creating and getting out of his guitar were, the only other person that, in my opinion, came close to what Jimi Hendrix was doing, and it wasn't necessarily as innovative as him, but did learn from those innovations, was Syd Barrett. There were a lot of things that, and vice versa. Syd Barrett learned many things, Jimi Hendrix learned many things in terms of the sounds that you could get out of a guitar, an electric guitar, and how you could manipulate everything from, changing the pickups to adding little units between the guitar and the amplifier to create other distortions and sounds, and the way Syd Barrett would use the technique of glissando, and that he would use a lighter, rubbing it or dragging it across the strings for the different sounds. Hendrix picked up some of these from Barrett, but also Barrett picked up many, many things in terms of what can be done with a guitar from Jimi Hendrix. It's a really incredible album. Anybody who is a classic rock fan, I think is always going to cite Jimi Hendrix as, oh my God, yes, Jimi Hendrix was the greatest. And, that's true, but I sometimes feel like we forget just how innovative he was, with the sounds that he was producing with the guitar. And he was doing it also in a very popish way. I mean, a lot of songs, you know, they were getting lots of radio play, and because they were kind of fitting in and changing the arena, so to speak, in pop music. I mean, on this album alone, you know, we have songs like, you know, Foxy Lady, which got lots of radio play. And then he did a remake of the song, or a cover of the song Hey Joe. Fire and Purple Haze and Manic Depression really fit well into the whole pop music schema. But then he was bringing in these other songs like The Wind Cries Mary and Are You Experienced, Third Stone from the Sun, I Don't Live Today. I mean, so many, you know, just, it's like, it's a record that, you know, when you look at the songs that are on it, it's almost like you think, oh, this is a greatest hits album. But no, that was his debut. So, yeah, that was my musical journey. Yeah, that night, there were probably others that I could think of that would still fit into that area in that time period of 1966 up to 1968. But hey, you know, that was quite an evening of listening to music. So I hope you enjoyed this little psychedelic reminiscence and journey down memory lane into those hazy days that for some of us of my generation anyway, probably our ability to really recall is probably compromised. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and please remember, pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.